Podcast brought to you today by, of course, yours truly, Miss Christabel. It's a pleasure to have you all here. First and foremost, we want to thank all our viewers, everybody who has been supporting us. We really appreciate your support. Please continue, make sure you do. First, we want to just speak about what our mission is. So here we are today to hear the stories of people who have effectively achieved so much in their lives. We're here to hear about their stories, about, their obstacles they faced, challenges they've overcome, and basically how they've become successful in their own right. So we have a special guest here today who I'm so excited about. And I'm not just saying that, I'm literally excited about having him here. I would term him as the jack of all trades, because that's literally what he is. He is amazing. But before we actually get to him, I just want to obviously again remind you, this is for everyone from all walks of life. Don't feel like you can't watch this. This is for everybody, and it's definitely to inspire you, to hear other people's stories, to inspire you, whether you feel a bit demotivated, or you feel like you're alone on this walk. This is for professionals and people outside of the professional corporate lifestyle as well. But this is for you. We want you to be inspired by the story that you hear today. And before I introduce my guest, because I'm going to jump straight in, his story is that good that I need to just jump straight in there. But before we do, make sure that you like, you share, you subscribe to this YouTube channel, Achievers Avenue Podcast, and we're also on Instagram, Achievers_Avenue_podcast. Please follow, because then you will know when our next episodes are, going to be uploaded and when they are uploaded. So please keep up to date on our social media. Make sure you follow us and make sure you engage, and also comment as well below if you have any suggestions of people that you would like to either have in to speak about their stories or anything else. Let us know in the comments. So definitely engage with us. We really appreciate that. But I'm talking way too much. Without further ado, I'm gonna introduce our guest for today, Bobby Seagull. Welcome.
Real pleasure. Miss Christabel, is that what I call you?
Yes.
I like that. Yeah. So it's a pleasure to be here. And again, you're doing inspiring as well, because your podcast, your YouTube channel, you're going out there sharing messages. So you also, in fact, can you interview yourself?
I know, right? I might have to do
the
that.
AI version, like Miss Christabel talks to Miss Christabel.
Thank you so much, Bobby. As I introduced you, of course, you're the jack of all trades. You literally went from being a trader at Lehman Brothers to being on live TV, and you've gone through different careers within that time as well. Like, first and foremost, actually, let's introduce you. Who's Bobby, right? Because I love your name as well. Such a TV name, Bobby Seagull. It's such a TV name. But let's start off with something to help our audience, just to know a bit more about you, right? 3 things you would use to describe, 3 words you would use to describe yourself.
Good questions. 3 words. I'm a mathematician, so I should be able to come up with 3 things.
Yeah.
So I think the first one I would say is energetic.
Yeah.
I always bring energy, enthusiasm, positivity. You know, those people who walk into a room, they're suddenly like, oh, they're here.
It's like
they're
bright,
lively.
light, yeah.
So I've always had that liveliness since I've been a child. Perhaps it's partly because Indian families are huge.
Yes.
And there's lots of people.
That's true.
And if you're not energetic, you're going to get lost. So energetic is one. The second one I would say is curious.
Okay.
Curiosity is a skill that you want to always find out more about things. You don't just accept things at face value. You don't understand the world. You don't understand why things work, how people get on in life. So that curiosity has always been there. In fact, I remember at one stage at school, my friends used to call me why, Bobby, why? Because I used to always say why. They'd say, Bobby, we're going to go to class 7. Like, why? Oh, because we've got a science lesson. Why is the science lesson there? Because that's on our timetable. Why is it on the timetable? So curiosity.
Yeah.
And the final one I would say, even though it's the third one, I think actually it's probably the most important trait that anyone could have, is kindness.
Wow. I
genuinely believe that being kind can solve so many issues in the world.
Absolutely.
You approach any issue in life, can I be kind to this person, kind towards the situation, kind towards this issue? And actually people will be willing to work with you if you're kind. So I think, for for me, it's my energeticism.
Yeah.
Energeticism. That's a word.
If that's a word, we'll make it a word
Yeah,
today.
no. Curiosity, being curious about the world, and then being kind.
I love that. And those are three very different things. They're not all like aligned.
Yeah.
So that just shows like how vast you are. Do you know what I mean? That's amazing. And probably even let's dig in a bit deeper.
Yeah.
Who is Bobby? Where did Bobby come from?
Yeah.
Where did Bobby grow up? I see a little West Ham badge.
Oh,
I don't
God,
know
yeah.
if that's all part. I don't know. That might be a part of where you're from. So let's let us know. Like, who's Bobby?
So, Christabel, I grew up in East London.
Yeah.
But my parents are from a place called Kerala in the southwest tip of India. So imagine India's like a triangle right at the bottom. Kerala actually means Keralam, land of coconuts. So they make, depends on people's alcoholic taste, but they make fierce coconut-based alcohol.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you have to get your
research.
You might go like, thank you, Bobby. Yeah, you keep that. So parents moved from Kerala to London in the late 70s.
Wow.
In East London. So I grew up in East Ham. Hence why I'm a West Ham fan. Come on, you Irons. Anyone out there? Any Gooners out there or Spurs fans? I'm sorry, but this is the proper London club. The proper London club. So we grew up in East London, but on a council estate. Okay. So parents, I would say, growing up, money was really tight. But our parents always valued, a bit similar to like West African parents.
Yeah.
They valued education, saying, in this country here, if you work hard, you study hard, get good qualifications, you're not guaranteed, but you're more likely to, get a good job, good career, be able to afford a house. Or that they thought that in the 90s. That was then. That was then. Now
this is now.
I know, that's different now. So education was always important. But in fact, every Saturday, we had a routine in our family.
Wow.
So normally our mum would make a really delicious biryani. Really delicious, probably lamb or chicken. Okay. And then, so the four boys, I'm one of four boys, we would be fed. And then our dad would take us down the town hallway towards East Ham Library. Yeah. And we'd sit there for hours, cross-legged. I can't actually do cross-legged now. Hands up. It's gone. My flexibility is gone. But we would sit there for hours, cross-legged, reading all sorts of books on the Aztec civilization, Victorian engineering, the fiction of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. And these Saturdays, week after week, month after month, year after year, that actually gave me the sort of sense of being curious about the world, developing a sense of knowledge. So even though we couldn't afford to travel to these places, I was like, wow, look at these things. So my local library in East Ham played a huge part in who I became.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that was my sort of childhood. So I went to St. Michael's School in East Ham, St. Bonaventure's in Forest Gate. Sometimes when people in media, they succeed and they're like, they're like television personalities or sports stars, they'll say, oh yeah, I went to a really rubbish school. I never say that. It was from a deprived area. In fact, the road it was on is one of the poorest areas in the whole of London, let alone UK. But it was a good school in a difficult area. But I think the area's definitely got uplifted. Yeah. But it was, growing up, it was not a well-off area. But the school was very good, great head teacher, Sir Michael Wilshaw. He ended up becoming head of Ofsted. But he had this tough love. There's good discipline there, but it worked. It meant that you came to the school and you knew that you're going to get good education. So that was Bobby till 16. But when I was 16, I read a newspaper ad at school. So the school used to get the Times newspaper.
In the school?
Yeah, which is quite enlightening. They're from a state school because the head teacher thought it's worth investing so these boys get an education and they read about the world. And that's good. Normally started at the back of the paper, Christabel, went through further to the middle. There's a little ad that said, are you a boy? I'm like, yeah, I'm a boy. Are you a bright boy? Yeah, I'm a bright boy. Are you from a state school? Yeah, this is a state school. Do you want a 2-year amazing experience? Like, yeah, bring it on. Apply to Eton College. And then I cut out a little piece of paper, sent it off, got an application, went to Eton for an open day, applied, and then little I know it, I was spending 2 years going from a state school in a council estate to Eton College, which is you can imagine.
Know that about you. Yeah. This is cool.
And that was, you can imagine that's I remember the first day I attended at Eton. So I thought, I was telling my parents, oh, I've got to look cool, this is the year 2000. I've got to make sure I fit in. Yeah. And I was telling my parents, so parents are like, what will make you fit in? What will make you feel comfortable? I'm like, I need, the cool kids at St. Barnes, they wear Adidas and Reebok Classics and Nike. So my parents went to not the proper sports shop, like a budget sports shop, got me all the stuff. Yeah. I turned up on the first day, looked like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And the boys at Eton
Who
what
is this?
Because they wear like Ralph Lauren and jackets
Yeah.
and I'm
Very
polo
smart, casual,
yeah, but
yeah.
I'm just like
With the hat.
baseball cap coming in like Will Smith, like hey up boys.
Literally the French Prince.
Yeah,
of
Fresh Prince of
Bel-Air.
East Ham.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow. So from Eton, what was your journey after that? Like, did you, I guess, went to uni?
Yeah, so my uni story is actually very interesting. So after 18, actually, let me just step back a couple of seconds because people often think that you can be a success in isolation. You can get that, but often I think it's a product of your environment, your parents, your friends, your school. So in my family, we're one of 4 boys. So the eldest brother, in fact, this probably is a big part of my story. So he's a few years older than me, and he got sadly knocked over by a car when he was about 2.5. Oh, wow. So can you imagine that, like a family moving over to England, and he's the firstborn of both sides of the family, of mum's and dad's side. And dad's the eldest of 10, mum is the second of 3, the first grandchild born, knocked over by a car. Oh, no. Yeah, it was terrible. It was in, I think, somewhere in South Croydon. They were at a wedding, and he was in hospital for a few years. And then, so again, when I was growing up, you just see as, oh, Davey's in a wheelchair. You don't children, you don't really think, oh, he's disabled. But in our family, he was inspiration in the sense of, I always thought, if this boy can achieve, so he went to a normal school. No, he went to actually a special school, just 14 for disabled children. But back then in the 90s, they assumed if you're disabled physically, that your mind's not sharp. Yeah. But I knew at home, this boy is smart. He's quick. Yeah. But then the school got burned down. Oh wow! God, someone said, Davey, this school's not good enough for Davey. So he got burned down. So he was forced to go to a proper normal state school called Eastleigh, which at the time was like 2% of children, I think, passed GCSEs. 1 in 50. It was pretty sink. But Davey, for him, it was a great place to go to. He couldn't go to St. Bond's because they'd never a lift to go to the science department. Right. So the school said, you can come to St. Bond's, but no science for you. Right. He's like, I've got to be doing some science education. Asian and African parents, you've got to be doing science. You got to do science. Yeah. And then so Davey started off in set 9, 8, 7, 6, and slowly got to the top of the school, got the top marks in the school, went to Newvic, got the top 5 in the country in computer science. Wow. And then got into Cambridge to do maths and computer science. He was just killing it, basically. And I was thinking, if this guy I've seen at home, I used to be better than him, and now he's suddenly smarter than me. So it's, for my family, it set up a precedence that all of us, if you work hard, I always think sometimes you can work hard as much as you want, but you just don't get the right bits of luck. So you need to work hard, have the right bit of luck, right place, right time, all those things. But it happened for Davey, and I thought, I've got no excuse. So I got my scholarship to Eton. In fact, my 2 younger brothers after me went to St. Bond's, also got a scholarship to Eton. Wow. And then I started out, before my university experience, I had a gap year. Did you take a gap year? I didn't, I went straight into it. I think it's quite like, I feel like it's more of a common thing for people that go to independent schools. Because my friends at my St. Bond's, not many took a gap year, but at Eton it was a sort of, everyone takes a gap year. A bit normal. A bit more normalised. Like, oh, what are you doing in your gap year? I'm like, my gap year? What's that? But I actually did like a professional thing. I spent 9 months working for KPMG, an accountancy firm, so 6 months in audit and finance, and 3 months in tax. Wow. And then I spent a few months in the summer doing youth work in Scotland. So that's where I've always this idea, like, I like education. And then I actually got a place to study maths at Oxford. So I started out, I'm like, oh my God, I'm at uni, I'm at Oxford, Have you had the chance to visit or see Oxford? I very briefly, yes. It looks incredible. It's really nice. Old school, like the 12th century, dreaming spires. Yeah. And so it looks like my career's like doing this. Yeah. And then after 1 year, I left Oxford. Really? And I had this conversation with my parents. At the end of the first year, I wasn't on course for a 2-1. I had a great time. I had an incredible experience. In fact, I'm now part of the college's alumni association, helping to recruit new students and promote the college. But I had too much fun at uni. And maths is one of those subjects where we know from school, if you like miss a few lessons, you're like, what's this topic? It's a wrap. It's like a foundation. Like, it's not like history where if you didn't understand World War II, fine, we can start again on the Cold War. Things, new topic, it's okay. Maths definitely does. It's if you miss out like your basic bits. And then essentially I did the uni version of that. I had so much fun. I used to go to like English lectures. I went to geology lectures. Not enough of my maths ones, but I had a great time. So at the start of my second year, because I wanted to get into banking, I decided to switch unis. And my university were like, if you should have told us earlier, we could have got you into like Imperial or Durham because they've got connections there. But you told us so late, all those places are gone.
Oh, no.
So they're like, if you wait a year, we can get you into Imperial, somewhere else like that.
Okay.
And my dad's like, you're not taking another gap year, boy.
Oh, right. I see, yeah, he's like, enough is enough.
Yeah. So then I was looking up the clearing system.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was a university called Royal Holloway, and I was like, oh, where is that? I'd not heard of Royal Holloway, but they had a space for maths and economics, in fact. So then I went there, and I remember at the time I was thinking, I had this, I've had this great education. I got the top mark in my borough in Newham for GCSEs.
Wow.
Smashed A levels.
So you came in the newspaper and all that.
Yeah, all that. Yeah. Newham Recorder.
Okay.
Front bit Bobby Shines, and then going to Oxford. And back then, I know nowadays there's some great schools in Newham, like Brampton Manor, Newham Collegiate Sixth Form, London Academy of Excellence, and they get like 50, 60 kids into top universities in Oxbridge. But back when I was growing up, so I'm 40 now, maybe 1 or 2 kids out of 10,000 got into Oxbridge in the whole borough, so it was like really uncommon.
Yeah.
Really uncommon. There's a talent.
So you were one out of a lot of people to be able to achieve that, basically.
But when I went there, I just maybe eye off the ball. Just realized I had a bit too much fun. So went to Royal Holloway, and I thought I'm gonna make a go of this. So then again, got in there, did all the different activities, but this time I made sure that I enjoyed myself, did the different activities and clubs, but exams have got to take first priority. So it meant that I got my job at, I applied to for investment banking. I got a job at Lehman Brothers. I remember going for my interviews.
What year was this, if you don't mind?
2006 for my interviews for my internships. And that's when banking was like big, before the crash and stuff. But when I went for my interviews, some of my friends at Oxford at the same interviews, and obviously I'm competitive, but I'm a supportive competitor.
Yeah.
But when it came to job offers, some of them didn't get it, and I was like, we were the same course. I'm Royal Holloway, so in theory, I'm at not as prestigious university, but I sort of worked myself back up, so I had to earn my place there. So I felt like I made the right decision getting into Lehman Brothers.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, you told me so much.
Yeah, I realize I'm just chatting away.
No. We want you to chat away. Trust me, because you have such a big story, and this is just the beginning part we're even getting into. But probably tell us very briefly about your time at Lehman Brothers and what you did, because I understand you were a trader.
Yeah.
There, and that is, I think, a lot of people's dream, right?
I think
prestigious,
because if you're thinking about if you want to become wealthy, footballer. But that's really hard. Like if I could have been a footballer, I would have been. But although Jermaine Defoe was a couple of years above me at school.
Was he in your school?
Yeah, I used to play against him at primary school.
Sorry, he was within your year.
Yeah, I think he's a year above me, but he worked out like a year and a half, 2 years older.
Wow.
I played against him at primary school level. I actually did a newspaper article about him when I was about 7.
Wow.
I played against him and he was ridiculously good. He scored 5 goals against stuff in the first half. I was the defender. I messed up a few times. So their teacher subbed him off at half time. It was like an act of mercy.
Wow.
Because we were getting mashed up. We were getting properly mashed up. So I wasn't good enough to be a footballer. But I think for people from all backgrounds, especially those from less advantaged backgrounds, going into finance is seen as, this is a chance for me to make money for myself, my family, generational wealth.
Yeah.
So I got a job as a trader. I remember the day I got my job, I was telling, I went to my mum and dad's bedroom, and I was just talking to my dad. The lights are off. I was telling my dad, I'm going to be so rich. I have so much money. I'm going to retire by 30. I'm going to just calm down. So obviously my mom's sleeping. So mom's just like, shh,
go away.
Go away, yeah. And this is before WhatsApp existed. So, back, now I can text my dad. But now I had to go and talk to him. So I got the job as a trader, front office. And I was thinking, here's a path to success. And I genuinely think, had Lehman Brothers not collapsed, because I think 18 months later,
it would have been
15 months, they collapsed September 2008. I think I would have stayed in that career path. In fact, two of my brothers have stayed in banking, pretty much been in the same firm their whole lives. And that would have probably been me. But because of that collapse, it made me really think. So, although to be honest, I didn't immediately leave banking. I went to Nomura, a Japanese bank, became a trader for a short while. Then I did a little sideways switch and went to PwC. I'm qualified as a chartered accountant. I'll tell you what, it's probably similar West African and Asian parents. So there's a pecking order of occupations. The number one in Indian families, what do you reckon the number one occupation is?
Like doctor.
Doctor. Yeah, Doctor's the number one. Like you've got Dr. Bobby. My mom's dream was that, but none of us in our family did chemistry, so none of our 4 boys became a doctor. So doctor's number one. The second one is probably lawyer.
Yeah.
Lawyer.
Sounds about right.
Then maybe I think engineers, engineer.
That's a really good.
Because you can build things.
Yes.
And then after that, I think finance gets in. Even though finance might earn a bit more than that, I think the others are more like doctor, lawyer, engineer. But finance then is like up
takes
there.
that peck in the fourth.
Yeah, so my dad's
rank.
really proud that I was getting because my dad is a chartered accountant in India.
Okay.
But again, back then, if he'd lived in India and stayed in India, he would be successful financially. But when he moved to the UK, he got his Indian chartered accountancy qualification. And I guess it's a sign of the 80s. They're like, what's this piece of paper? Indian qualification, rubbish. And he had to start from the bottom.
Same for my dad, actually.
Yeah, no, like they didn't accept our, but our parents'
The
qualifications.
international qualifications weren't probably regarded as much
back then.
Yeah.
So he'd retrained in IT, etc. But becoming a chartered accountant, and again, my path at the time was like, oh, I'm either going to become a partner at PwC, or I'm going to go back into banking or business. So banking, come back as a qualified chartered accountant, or go into private equity, or go into like industry, Sainsbury's or W. Smith, and become a CEO through the financial director route. So that a few options. But in my 20s, I set up a social enterprise called Oxfizz that supported thousands of sixth form students applying to universities from less advantaged backgrounds.
Okay.
So we'd get income from kids that could afford it, and then the money that we got from that supported kids that couldn't afford it. Wow. And we actually donated £1 million. So I never earned a single penny. I did it as like a weekend.
Right back
all
in.
back in.
Wow.
I saw like I earn a good salary. I don't need to earn income from this. But I spent most weekends in my whole 20s doing that. So at PwC, and I'll explain why this is important. At PwC, when you qualify, normally people take sabbaticals when they they go to like New York or Johannesburg or Sydney.
Yeah.
Because I actually took the sabbatical to do teaching and training. And my parents like, you can do cool stuff. You go to like Delhi, or you go to like Buenos Aires, or wherever, anywhere PwC is.
Yeah.
But I did the teaching and training in London for about a few months. And I found like I love the teaching. So I'll stand up every day for weeks and weeks teaching these. They're not children, they're 21, 22, but they're young people.
Fairly out of uni.
And I would do that. And I found one, like I got such great feedback from the young people, but also like I came to life. I'm like, wow, talking. I've always been a bit of a loudmouth, but like talking to people.
And energetic, not loud.
Energetic, yeah, I like that.
As you
Energetic,
said.
yeah, energetic. But also like as an educator to these young graduates, because I'm kind. If they didn't understand the balance sheets, profit and loss, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're idiots. I'd be like, no, don't worry. Look, we'll come to a break time. We'll have a look. And it made me realize actually I want to do more of this. But where can I make an impact in education? Obviously, I always think you can educate anyone at any stage. But if I go to teach in a school, so I spent a few months as a sabbatical, another one, visiting lots of schools in Newham. In fact, I visited every single school apart from one school. I'll never name that school. That didn't accept me. Yeah, every single school in Newham Secondary, I went and visited.
Wow.
Spent time there, including Angela's, St. Angela's, St. Barnes, my school.
I went to St. Angela's. That's why he's
what
reminding me.
Yeah.
And I think the relationship between St. Bonds where you went and St. Angela's, it's like the boys only school, girls only school, and they're literally down the road.
Literally just like 5-10 minutes, if that.
I think it's like 5 minutes, literally.
Yeah.
And I think the sixth form is joint.
Yes.
So that's the relationship, I guess, that we once we first met. We'll get into where we actually met and how we got to know all of this. But sorry, I don't want to disturb what you were saying in terms of going to different schools.
Okay. So I was and then I was like, I definitely want to be trained to become a teacher. But obviously, there's like a question of you're going from 6-figure salaries to suddenly 20K as a teacher. So there's like a huge financial
what's it called, deficit, or like you're taking
huge financial hit. But I chat to my parents, and they're like, they understand that I want to do something. The thing is, I never disliked the financial career, but I just found something that really grabbed me even more. Because sometimes like you can get this push and pull factor in geography. So it wasn't really it wasn't really the push from banking. It was more the pull of teaching. I felt like, wow, this career could really excite me, and I could make an impact. So I trained to become a teacher. I went to Cambridge to do my teacher training, my master's, and my doctorate. I became a head of department in a state school in East London. But when I was doing that head of maths role, I was also doing my master's part-time at Cambridge.
Wow.
And then I went on a quiz show called University Challenge. And this is where my life changed, because I thought at the time, okay, I'm a teacher now. I'm head of department. I'm going to try and become a senior, join the senior management, become a deputy head, become a head teacher, exec head, maybe head of Ofsted, become like an educational figure. So, I think I really valued education, what it did for me, and I want to do the same for other people. But when I went on that, it's a quiz show called University Challenge.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so it's in fact, I think it's the oldest running quiz show in the world.
Really?
1962 it started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's still going on?
It's still going on. It's only ever had 3 hosts. Bamba Gascoigne, 62 to 87. Then I had like a 7-year gap where it stopped, 87, 94. Then it got back brought back onto the BBC. Then Jeremy Paxman, who's like, if anyone's not heard of him, he's like meant to be wasn't like the 90s and noughties and 2010s, the most ferocious political interview. No politician wanted to be interviewed by Jeremy Paxman.
Wow.
He would mash you up. I like that word. He would smoke politicians. And then recently, Amal Rajan, the BBC presenter. So we had 3 hosts. So I went on the game show, and when I went on it, I thought I'm knowledgeable. I read a lot. And what's the aim of the show? I want to try and win it because it'd be cool. Imagine being the teacher that says, I want the hardest quiz show on television. That was literally my aim.
Yeah.
And I recorded it. It's all pre-recorded. And I was still ahead of the department. And when the episodes are coming out, I started trending on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
And Twitter was a big thing, or X as it's now known.
Yeah.
And I remember after I had a big semi-final match against Wilson College, Cambridge. So I was captain of the Emmanuel College, Cambridge team. And that match was hyped up. People made trailers for it. Wow. Stephen Fry, Louis Theroux were tweeting about the match. BBC did like they did like a preview of the match. It's almost like a football match. People made memes of it. It went mad. So that match, semi-final match, before the semi-final match, in my own right, the BBC did this tweet saying, "Is Bobby Seagull the happiest ever contestant on University Island?" And then the day after, they carried on going. They made a meme of me saying, did the BBC handle, saying, everyone fell in love with Bobby Seagull last night. Because they love my energy, my enthusiasm, the humor I brought to the show. Because it's a hard quiz show, but it's not meant to be fun to watch. But I think I just was myself, like I am with you, just chatting away. Yeah. And then it just sort of reached people through the screen. Through the screen. And then my semi-final. So people in fact think, oh, Bobby, did you win University Challenge? I didn't even get to the final. I lost in the semi-final, but I lost to Eric Monkman, Wilson College, Cambridge, a Canadian guy. And he's probably, I think, so I was very knowledgeable, but I think he's probably maybe one of the strongest ever people on the quiz show since 1962. So he was like a ferocious captain. Knew pretty much everything apart from sport. He had no sport knowledge.
You were the sports guy. We'll get into that later.
Yeah. And then our match went viral on social media. Remember, hashtag number 1 was University Challenge. Hashtag number 2 trending on Twitter was Monkman. Hashtag 3 was Seagull. Then it was hashtag Monkman versus Seagull. And it was mad. And I came into school the next day and it was like, I was on Capital FM, the Metro, the Evening Standard, the Telegraph, every single thing. Good Morning Britain got us on. The One Show got us on. I met Riz Ahmed, even the actor from. Wow. It was crazy. He was blowing up, and I think it was okay. I don't think that's ever happened before on this quiz show. And I don't think it's ever happened to quite the same level. But the reason I think I had longevity was, I always used conversations like, they're like, oh, Bobby, what's it like? People recognizing. I'm like, oh, it's cool, but I want to talk about why I'm here is because I'm good at a quiz show because I'm knowledgeable, but I wasn't born knowledgeable. I became knowledgeable because I went to the library, I read, I listened to my teachers. I made myself smart, and that's something that all of us can replicate. So after that, me and my friend got given our own radio show, Monkman and Seagull's Polymathic Adventures. We got into Stephen Fry requested to be a guest on the show. Wow. We had our own quiz book, Monkman and Seagull's quiz book. We had our own TV show. That's mad, a road trip show. BBC do prime time, 8:30 Monday. We had four episodes going around England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. My driving skills are not great. If you're watching Top Gear, I'll come on, but you need to get better insurance. So we had a road trip show, and it was like, it's mad. Like suddenly I've gone from being a head of department, a classroom teacher, to having this TV career. Yeah. But I think the thing is, there's 2 parts. One is, I realized it could always disappear at any moment, and I was happy to go back into the class. But 2, I realized I've got this platform where people want to talk to me about the TV show, but I'll always try and direct it back to like, TV show is good, but my students, they're excited about it. Oh, talk to me about your students. So then I can talk about education, young people. So I think because I've had that narrative of education and young people, it's meant that I've had, like, that was 7 years ago, and I'm still in the industry. You know, like 15 minutes of fame. Yeah. Andy Warhol, the artist, said everyone has that or can have that. And I've extended mine because I've got a real mission. I'm not just, inverted commas, famous for the sake of being famous, because that's like the next. It's almost like, you know, like Love Island people. Some of them have done some good things.
But it's true. Some of them do disappear.
Yeah. But it's because if you're famous for being famous, there'll be new famous people that turn up.
They will be.
But if you're
literally waiting to come on.
Waiting to come on. Yeah. But if you get, again, in my school, I don't like the word celebrity or famous, but I say Mr. Seagull has profile, or good profile. If you develop profile for something that's valuable to society, you will always be in demand. For me, it's like maths and education is my core. Other things are like, my football and interest in sport, all these other things are there, and music, but my core is maths and education. And I think that's always going to be needed in society. And that's what's kept me going. And I think will keep me going if I want to. Again, at some stage I may say, if I get married and have children, I'm going to take a step away from this because it's intense, but it keeps me going.
I like that what you've just said, because it's almost like the way you look at fame is really attaching it to purpose, as opposed to just doing it for the sake of it. Delve a little bit into that, if you don't mind. Is that how your purpose, how you've matched your purpose?
Yes, excellent question.
Being seen around the world.
So I think it's probably to do partly upbringing made a huge impact. Parents with always keeping me grounded, good school, but I also think maybe the age in which I got my media profile. So I went viral on social media when I was 30 years old. So I had a career, had a life before, I had my own identity. And I think when people are young, like let's say footballers or Love Island stars or pop stars, and when they're 18, 19, 20, if the first adult experience you have is everyone recognizes you and you're going viral on Instagram and TikTok, and nowadays again they're teenagers or 15, 16 who've got like viral on TikTok, and if their only experience is being famous at such a young age, they don't know anything else.
It's like too much pressure for such a young
and they almost and they don't know what the world was like before. When, again, I've always been a nice, kind person, so if I meet people on a bus stop, but in my 20s I would go around doing my work, etc. No one would ever say hello because I'm just a normal, regular person. I still am a normal person, but now people recognize me a bit more. So I think it's because I had that previous life experience. It meant that when I went into this career of my teaching but media alongside it, one, I'm grateful for it because I realized that if it finishes, imagine tomorrow, I don't really have any, I'm quite a boring person. There's no real skeletons in my cupboard, but imagine they're like, Bobby Seagull, we found out he was a Millwall fan. He's a fake West Ham fan, and they're like front page of the Daily Mail. Fake Bobby West Ham supporter, is a Millwall fan. Bobby doesn't actually like maths. He hates maths. He actually really loves physics. I can't imagine what scandal. Imagine a scandal came, and then I suddenly had to leave all the media stuff. I wouldn't mind. I would go, obviously I'd miss it, but I'd go on to back to my teaching or back into finance. So I think I'm grateful for it. But I also realize that you use your platform to make an impact on people. I always believe that our legacy, not that I want to live for many years, but it's always the impact you make on people. Again, some people have religious views about afterlife and a soul. Some people don't in the world, but I think the impact you can make if you don't have a religious viewpoint is on influencing other people, and that way you live on that way. If people remember that you were kind and good-hearted, and they try and embody that, that keeps going on. So I always believe that, try and spread goodness to other people.
I love that. I think there's one of my favorite quotes actually from Maya Angelou.
You say I think I say is it okay? There's a few. She's got this lady is just like
she's phenomenal.
Walking quote book.
Honestly,
the one that I've seen in my school is people won't remember what you taught them, but they remember how you made them feel.
And that I literally live by that.
So important.
I have to live by that because that's true. Sometimes you might forget someone's name by accident, of course, or you might forget someone's. But the way someone makes you feel is so it stays with you. If that makes sense. So I understand what you're talking about in terms of impact. You're doing it for impact. You want to change how people feel, and not just that. There's so many probably younger people coming up, probably from the same background as you, and I think representation is so. I agree.
You can't be what you can't see. In fact, I'll give you one.
I love that. I love that.
I nicked that from a podcast I heard. So the BBC has a podcast called Desert Island Discs, and there was a presenter called Clive Myrie. So Clive Myrie is probably one of Britain's most respected presenters, like news presenters. He presents BBC News. He hosts Mastermind. What else does he do? He does lots of like road trip shows. And his family, I think his family originally from the Caribbean. So he grew up in the 60s when Britain probably Britain was better, still more to go. But in the 60s it was much tougher if you're from an ethnic minority.
Absolutely.
And he was saying, as a black British young man, or even as a child, when he saw Trevor McDonald on telly, he's like, everyone used to run down like, Mom, it's Trevor McDonald on telly. And he said on this podcast, you can't be what you can't see. and that inspired him. So I always think you do. I know there's some people talk about quotas and stuff like that, but I think if you can't see people like you in the professions and areas of work you want to get into, then you will think it's not for you.
It's true. Sometimes it can be a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
for you, you're thinking, or you know, you can be as motivated as you want,
Yeah.
right? But being from an ethnic background,
Yeah.
you're gonna look and be like, well, why isn't there anyone that looks like me? Like, what happened to the people? You know what I mean? Before me,
Yeah.
like, what's happened? Then it kind of like puts you in that. You know, you kind of retract yourself back from
Yeah.
kind of achieving that.
Completely.
But I completely agree with the fact that I definitely want to be, even when I don't see, because I mean I've been in industry which doesn't have many black females like myself, but I definitely want to be that person because I know that there's people behind me
Exactly.
that would definitely want to see. So yeah, no, I love that. Sorry, that's all.
Yeah, no.
All good stuff. Like that's all really good inspiration.
Again,
stuff.
I got about that quote. People won't remember what you taught them, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
I think also not just in your line of work, but in your day-to-day business. I know that in life we're stressed, rushing between things, but just being kind to people you interact with, a little smile to the bus driver. I think I'm the kind of person, if I get off the bus, I'm like, cheers, thanks. And then little small things that again, you never know, for that person, that could be the only positive thing that happens to them.
That's very true.
So by you doing the little smile, you could be making someone's day. So and I always think the more you put in, it comes back to you, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, multiple-fold. Blessings come back to you. So share positivity.
Amen to
and
that.
again, like we went to, and we probably have to talk about
how we met. Yeah. Let's go into that.
Let's
go into that. So we met. Of course, I showed up relatively late, but I showed up to a ICAEW event. Even though I'm ACCA qualified, I'm actually not ACA qualified, not yet anyway. I'm part of I've signed up for the Forensic and Expert Witness group, but then also the kind of like Black ICAEW community as well. I think they hosted that particular event. If you want to share more on how we kind of bumped into each other.
So the ICAW, Institute of Chartered Accountants of England Wales, they host an event with Eugene Amodadzie.
That's it.
And he's the fastest accountant in the world. Yeah, and this guy here.
Shout out to.
I think he's Nigerian.
He's Ghanaian.
Ghanaian. Oh, I keep getting that's embarrassing.
Don't let him hear that, but he's
Ghanaian. And he, in his 20s, did the thing that Ghanaian parents are proud of, got a chartered accountancy qualification, worked in a finance firm, so doing all the good things, was a good man, had a lovely wife and a child. But when he was at school, he was quite good at sprinting. But you get caught in the work track and you just ignore that. And then I think one day he went to a track meet just to watch it with his friend, and his friend's like, you could beat some of those guys. And he literally just like, I haven't run for years. And he put on some shoes and like suddenly was actually still got it.
Really good.
And then when he was in his late 20s, he started running, and he started moving like 10.8, 10.7, 10.5, 10.3. And then a couple of years ago, maybe I think in 2022, he ran 9.91. And at the time,
crazy.
Times have moved on a bit, but at the time, he was like the third fastest Brit of all time.
That's so good.
That's ridiculous time.
Record breaking.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then he has this talent that God gave him, but he worked hard at it. And then so ICW wanted to invite him to talk about how he manages his career as a chartered accountant and a sprinter. And the thing is, one thing I loved about this man, in fact, now I'm his biggest advocate. If I see him on telly, I'm always bragging about him to my family and friends, is that he's so humble. He's so down to earth. He's so grateful. He's got like a talent that was rare. Ridiculous. Like I actually wanted to run against someone that fast, because to realize how quick they are. Because they're like
it's like the speed of
literally,
light.
So he's got a talent.
Yeah.
But he's worked hard, and he's kept his feet on the ground. Ironically, if you're running sprinting, his feet's on the ground. Because when he heard this man talk, and we were both at this event, he realized that he's had obstacles and he's overcome them, but he's grateful for his God. He's grateful for his family, his wife, his children, and he's trying to inspire other people. And he knows that there'll be more obstacles to come in his life. Life will always have that, but it's your attitude and how you approach it. And I think there's a post drinks event afterwards, and
that's how we met. That's how we bumped into each other.
And then you were my photographer.
I took a picture.
I wanted to get some content, which I'm not posting. I wanted to get some content with Eugene Amodadzie, saying, how has he become so successful? How has he keep himself grounded? And I was looking for someone to record it. I was like, hi, do you mind recording this thing? He's like, yeah, sure. and then Christabel was like, we became LinkedIn friends, and
the rest is history. That's where we are today. So that's amazing. And I think even from that point where you did tell me we're pretty much from the same
Yes.
area. We went to the same schools pretty much, or
Yeah.
like sister brother schools, should I say. And then us being accountants, and then
Yes.
obviously meeting in there and still being in the same area. We've grown up, we stayed in that area as
Yes.
well. I thought that was so cool. But then once you started telling me about your actual like what you've done in your life, I was like, huh? Like, how many years has this man been
I know,
alive? Like, he's
yeah.
done so much. So let's even help the audience even understand
yeah,
even
yeah.
more. I think the last bit you spoke about is when you were, you started to come on TV. But what
Yeah.
have you done after that? Like what else
Yeah,
have you done in the
yeah.
TV space?
So I sort of balance a few things. So professionally, I still, in media appearance, I'm more like maths teacher, but it's maths teacher and broadcaster now. So I teach part time in a secondary, but also now actually by the time this comes out, it'll be a feeder primary school. So I've been in secondary and sixth form for a decade, and I think with the Labour government being in power, their plans are to focus more on primary school maths.
Okay.
So that's why I'm switching to part-time.
Primary school.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll be
amazing.
sending the kiddies upwards. But my broadcasting work, so it's a combination of, I do this sort of serious broadcasting. So for Good Morning Britain, I'll take part in debates. Jeremy Vine Show on Channel 5, I'll be there for like 2 hours discussing all the big news. Sky News get me on occasionally. BBC Breakfast, obviously. So I'm there regularly on live television. Like, if you switch on the telly, I'll probably be on one of the channels that day. So a lot of like serious like news broadcasting. But because of going on Universal Challenge, I got start getting invited to celebrity shows.
Tell us more.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's mad. So firstly, it was like the quiz shows. They're like, Celebrity Mastermind, Celebrity Pointless, and they're like, because quiz shows make sense. You're a celebrity, but we'll give them to quiz shows. And I won those. Yeah.
Of course.
And money for charity. Good.
Don't expect nothing less.
Yeah. And then I started getting invited to shows that weren't to do with being smart. So the first one was in 2021. I got invited to. Have you heard of a film called Dirty Dancing?
Yes.
So my agent called me up, and again, I always find that weird. I still, again, it's a part of like, I'm grateful, but I also ungrounded, like to say, my agent called me up.
Yeah.
But my agent called me up and says, Bobby, I've got an offer, but you're probably not interested. Have you heard of Dirty Dancing? I'm like, yeah, it's my top 10 films of all time. I love the film. And he said, well, Channel 4 are doing a reality show called The Real Dirty Dancing. Yeah, and I'm like, speak more. And he said, but they're getting 10 celebrities, 5 men, 5 women, for 2 weeks to try and take on the role of Baby and Johnny from the film, learn the moves, do some acting, and immerse themselves in the film for 2 weeks. Like, Bobby, are you up for that? I'm like, sign me up. And so I was on this reality show. It was actually recorded in lockdown, so it's a bit of a strange environment, but I did that, and that was my first experience of a show that's got nothing to do with my education, just like turning up. Albeit on the show, I was the nerdy character. Like,
so you got to still bring in a
of
bit
course,
of,
like we were learning some how to do hooping,
Yeah.
and explaining I remember there's one funny scene. So it was hosted by Keith Lemon and Ashley Roberts. Ashley Roberts was from the Pussycat Dolls with Nicole Scherzinger. And there's one scene where Ashley Roberts was trying to say, one of the things about dirty dancing, you need to get better hips, and my hips are not good. I ain't got any. These hips definitely lie. But they were like saying, but you're gonna move the hips, and I was explaining the physics of how hoop moves. I was talking about like gravitational forces, centripetal forces, and then Keith Lemon was like, Bobby, you talk about the physics, but can you do it in action? And everyone expected me to flop. But I just went for it, and the hip, just the hoop.
You proved it in
The
theory
physics
and
in action,
practical.
yeah. So even on like a show about dancing, I got in lots of bits of like physics and maths, and people loved it. And that sort of built up my media personality. I got invited in fact, a year later, I did Celebrity Hunted on Channel 4. It's like an escape reality show. It's almost like it's like a real life cat and mouse game. Wow. You got the people that are the police, and they're actually real police officers, but doing this as part of their holiday. They chase celebrities around the UK and try and catch them.
Really?
So you go off the grid.
Oh, this is exciting.
It's incredible.
Is it still on like?
No, it's on channel. You can, if you look up Channel 4 Player, you can find it.
I'm gonna watch.
It was a
That
mad
sounds
experience,
really
and there's
cool.
10 celebrities, and I again somehow made it to be the last person standing.
Really?
I had this incredible escape scene that made Gogglebox. I'm running for the plane. Everyone's caught. It's just me running. I got past one of the hunters, and then one of them just slammed me 10 meters before the plane. But it was a great scene. It made Gogglebox.
Wow.
So I did that. I did a BBC show called Pilgrimage, a bit more serious one where 7 celebrities went on a religious pilgrimage to Fatima in Portugal, Catholic pilgrimage, people from different backgrounds like Muslim faith, Hindu. Actually, there wasn't a Hindu in that show. Catholic, non-denominational, atheist, a Jewish lady, a Muslim person. So different religions, all on the show. And then I got on to do Netflix dating show called Indian Matchmaking.
Wow.
And that was very different because I wasn't there as a celebrity. I was just there as a regular person trying to meet people. I didn't meet anyone, but I managed to get my maths lessons filmed on a Netflix dating show.
You're lying.
Besides, they, I got onto the show, and they normally follow people around their lives.
So that's they showed your day
I'm
to
like,
day.
mate, you're coming to my lesson. So they filmed me doing some like lessons on probability, and that was like super cool.
Wow.
So I went to. So actually now I host dating events as like a sort of a funny, charming guy. I hosted an event in New York. I was like the Cupid. I was wearing angel wings, in Indian traditional dress, matching people up. But I was walking through New York a few months ago, and people spotted me. Said, "Oh, we know you." And when people say, "I know you," I never know what to say.
Yeah.
I'm like,
From where?
I used to joke. I sometimes joke. I drive Ubers. I'm like, yeah, you must be an Uber. I do that. I do that. I just want to say that for trying to get rid of the conversation. I just say I'm an Uber driver. But this New York couple are like, "Oh no, we know you from somewhere." And like, "Oh, you're that TikTok guy." I'm like, I got a TikTok, but it's not really that big. They're like, "Oh, the Netflix dating show." So people in New York were recognizing me.
Wow.
That was I was outside Wall Street, actually reminiscing my days.
Wow.
So it shows you different facets of it's educate. So I think trying to bring education back to it. So the celebrity career has been a bit surreal. That I'm still going on, but doing my serious broadcasting. I write for newspapers. So I used to write. I still do a bit for the Financial Times about personal finance. That's an ad hoc column now. But for the newspaper, which is formerly the Independent, I have a fortnightly column on personal finance. So I'm trying to become like a role model influencer for helping young people and adults understand the world of money, because that's a complex thing. So these are other things that you opened up which I didn't expect.
To open up for you.
Yeah, and even like football. So when I was on telly, I used to always say on Universe Challenge, you say where you're from. I said, my name is Bobby Seagull. I'm from East Ham in the London Borough of Newham. I'm studying for a Master's in Education, specialising in maths. Long ass intro. But I always said I'm from East Ham. West Ham got in touch saying, "Are you a West Ham fan?" I'm like, "Yeah."
They got in touch.
Yes, they invited me to a game like VIP. I got to eat chicken with Michael Antonio, one of our star strikers. And Michael Antonio was funny because he doesn't know who I am. Like, I'm just a random teacher having chicken barbecue wings with him. West Ham barbecue wings. And then West Ham said, "Hey, he seemed to like you. Do you want to be a club ambassador?" So I became an education ambassador for the club. So I started doing things with the club where I'll take players into schools and we'll host like maths challenges, reading challenges. And it even got me to the point. This is the highlight. So I hope the highlights of my life will be the day I get married and the day my first child is born. I think they'll be incredible. But one thing that will give it a run for money is, so West Ham won a trophy last year. Their first trophy in 43 years. The Europa Conference League. And the day after, they were doing a big trophy parade, and my dad called me. It's like, "Bobby," and I picked up the phone. I was like, "Come home now on BBC London. They're showing the trophy parade. All the players are there. It's incredible. Should come back." I said, "Dad, so you're watching it, yeah?" I said, "Yeah, I'm watching it now." "Okay, can you see Declan Rice?" I said, "Yeah, I can see Declan Rice." "Can you see next to Declan Rice? There's a small Indian man waving." And he's like, "What? It's me." West Ham invited me to celebrate with the players as an ambassador.
Wow.
And that was mad. So it shows you like being knowledgeable, having a niche, got me to a place where I'm now celebrating with West Ham, their first ever trophy. I remember like there were teachers and there were staff members, students, and they're like going, they told me the day after as I went to school, they're like, "Mr. Seagull's up there."
That's so amazing.
And that's because I've got I think like maybe this, to do well in life, I think you need a niche so that something you're good at, and then you approach it with enthusiasm and effort. And again, one thing that people often underplay Christabel is the part that luck can play at the right time, because sometimes people can work hard, get all the right qualifications, do all the right things, and if you do all that, you should be okay. But to really succeed, I think you need to be lucky. And I've had luck at the right moments, like getting the Eton scholarship, finding what if I hadn't opened the paper. What if, I'm trying to think, Lehman Brothers, the person interviewing me didn't like me on that particular day. What about like Universe Challenge? What if I'd lost in fact in my first match in Universe Challenge, my team were losing so badly, it was minus 10 to 75. It was embarrassing. People are tweeting at the stage, they should get rid of Emmanuel from Cambridge because they're so bad. We just had a bad start, but we somehow got through. So I could have been out in the first round, and then it would just be like, oh, well, you were on a quiz show, weren't you? Like, yeah, I did one match. But so you have these little moments where things can change. But then I think the key thing is most of us get opportunities where we get fortune, but you got to grab it. You got to grab it. And that's what I've always done. If I get an opportunity, I grab it. And one thing that, again, why we're probably having this conversation is I'm usually very good, probably in the top 1% of saying yes to things.
Yeah.
I actually need to get better at saying no because my life's so busy.
Yeah.
But when people ask me, do you want to do this or that? I'm always like, yeah, let's see if I can make it work.
Yeah.
I might need a bit of time, but let's see if I think that yes attitude has got me very far.
Well, you said so many good things. Like I don't even know where to start. So one of the main lessons you've spoken about is saying yes. And the second one would be is just being ready for the opportunity before it even comes, right? Because you can have luck, you can have opportunity, but if you're not ready or if you're not believing in yourself that you can do it, then that, do you know what I mean? You can miss an opportunity that's going to change your life. Because I guess with the the quiz show that you initially went on, as you're saying, if you guys persevered and things like that, but if you decided, let's give up because we're not getting anywhere, it's embarrassing, it's like -10 to 75, then that would have been, you never would have known where that would have taken you. So I think you have so many good lessons that you've basically given us, free gems, should I say, that you've given us from that experience.
But actually, on the point you made, there's a quote on my brother's wall. It's something along the lines of, I prepared my whole life for this one moment. You don't know what that one moment will be.
Yeah.
In the same way, which if you watch the 100 meters, so Usain Bolt's obviously the most incredible sprinter of all time. And you think, it's easy, his job's easy. He just runs for 10 seconds. But actually, the amount of work he has to do before that to get to that position. So when we see, I'm going to give you an analogy here. So when we see people at the top of their field, whether they're musicians, business people, teachers, politicians, whatever it is, you think, wow, they're incredible, they're successful. But it's like a swan. You see them gracefully, like you're like, oh, they're incredible. But actually beneath it,
the feet,
flapping along, all the things they've done there, the icebergs, the encounters. So behind, so again, there's always this case of survivor bias. Sometimes you don't see all the people that haven't succeeded. So for example, my students, they all want to be footballers. I tell them, great, but actually there are loads of people that try to be footballers that haven't made it. And of course, give it a go, but sometimes the people you see succeed because behind them there are other people that tried it and just didn't make it. So you got to realize that you need luck at the right time, but be ready to grab the opportunity.
Be ready. I think this is why we have this podcast. Actually, we want people to hear these stories so that they're motivated and they know that it can happen, but they need to be ready for it almost. Like that's why this is here. But let's go on further to ask you another question. So I think you've mentioned teaching, obviously, and that clearly is, I think it's your calling. I think that's what I'll call it.
That's my vocation.
I think that's your vocation. And I think it's weird because where you started off, it probably was not what you were looking for.
Not at all.
But because you allowed yourself to, follow that path, and not only do you enjoy... Okay, so another thing one of my friends told me, and I think this is so true. One of my friends told me that you just need to find where your talent is or what you're good at, right? And you will be, you'll be successful off the back of that. Then everything else will come to you from that success, because obviously the money will come to you. I know you mentioned how you had to leave like a six-figure, role to do teaching, but it was teaching that was pulling you. And I'm sure teaching now with everything that is giving you back multifold, right? Do you want to elaborate on that? Or,
so I think it's when you're picking your path, I think people sometimes think if plan A doesn't work, they're a failure. But it's not. There's a phrase,
I love this.
Failure is just redirection.
It is.
All it is like, for example, for me, in fact, my public story is not, I think sometimes when I get interviewed by journalists, they want to portray me as in fact, my show was called, annoyingly, it's the BBC type, Monkman and Seagull's Genius Guide to Britain. So often they'll put maths genius Bobby Seagull, and I'm like, don't use that title. But my Oxford story, I dropped out of Oxford, and so there's this path going up, but I managed to make something of it, coming out of it, going to Royal Holloway. So I think it's that if things don't work out, make the best of what you have next. Because then new opportunities will arise. So I think nowadays, with the way, again, when our parents are growing up, I think they would have one job, maybe two jobs, and that's it. Whereas our careers, there's so many things, you've got a job where you're doing YouTubing, podcasting. So people have got to, I think nowadays, there'll be different income streams, different opportunities.
There is.
So I think just being more flexible, and I think having that skill set. So whether it's your hard work or your analysis for detail or you're good at numbers, having that skill set, but you're not quite sure where the opportunity
do with it. Yeah.
And like for me, for example, I always read books. I had knowledge, and it's like, it's a cool fact I could give out, to family and stuff. But suddenly, when I was 30, having that fact or these facts at my fingertips meant that I was really good at a quiz show, and that opened up this new path. So, and again, so when I became a teacher, I got invited to. So, like again, maths teacher. One of my friends at Cambridge said, "Oh, Bobby, there's a panel going on about like should children learn about personal finance?" And I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Oh, you have to come down to." I was teaching in Cambridge, and you have to come down to London. And I was like, do they give a fee to speakers? Because I'm coming down, giving up a day. She's like, they don't have a fee for this event, but they'll cover your travel expenses. And obviously, I think for most, if it's in a big organization, people should ask for a fee because your time is valuable.
Yeah.
But I asked for a fee for this organization. They're like, we'll cover your costs. And I'm okay, I'll do it. And I went along to this event, and then one of the speakers there was a editor of the Financial Times, and she's like, "You're incredible. We want to give you a role at the Financial Times."
Imagine if you never went.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Saying yes to opportunity. You don't know where. I think you don't do everything cynically, thinking, it will lead to an opportunity. But the more you say yes to things, some of those things will lead to opportunities.
Yeah.
So it's that attitude, that mindset of, let's read a bit more. Let's talk to new people. Let's have a coffee with this person. We don't know where it leads to. So me saying yes to a thing when I'm like, I'm busy, I've got to come down, I've got to get back, I'll get back to Cambridge really late, I'll have to, it's all not convenient, but I said yes, and that opened up a whole new career as a personal finance expert, which I didn't expect.
Absolutely, and that's going to pay back the dividends,
it would do,
right?
yeah.
So that's amazing. Wow, I'm even just blown away. There's so much that we can learn from your story, Bobby. Like, honestly, I'm so grateful to have you here. Like, this is just what I think what people need to hear. And I think from everything that you said and every single different role that you've kind of had during your course, and obviously you're still in the midst of it. You haven't even finished, right?
Yeah.
And you have so much to say. I think it's really helped probably build your character. Would you agree that what you've gone through has built character? And if do you?
Yeah, it does. Like, for example, again, when I joined Lehman Brothers in my early 20s, thinking, by 30 I'm going to be a multi-millionaire, and it collapsed. Like, literally, I picked the bank, probably the second or third biggest investment bank in the world. They were paying out loads of money to all this stuff. I'm like, what? How does this happen to me?
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I'm going to still stay in finance. I'm going to find an alternate. And I became a chartered accountant. So I think things happen to you, and you can't impact the world. Things will always happen to us.
Yeah.
But it's how you react to it.
Yeah.
So my dad loves self-help books since a child. In fact, growing up, we used to read like The Power of Positive Thinking, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So normal children, to be honest, we read our nursery rhymes and stuff. Our dad's reading us like positive mindset books, age of 5 or 6. But the model that he taught me about was is it victim or creator mindset.
Right.
So when things happen to us, I always acknowledge that when bad things happen to us, you do need to take some time to feel it, grieve, feel sad, because we're humans. We need to be upset. Someone passes away, or you lose a job, or you fail your year at uni, or you fail an A level. You're going to be upset. So it's natural. You should definitely. I'm not saying no, don't feel any upset. Feel it.
Yeah.
But once you've done that, then you think, am I going to be a victim or a creator? A victim's like, I feel really bad. My GCSEs, the teacher told us the wrong stuff to revise. I revised the wrong thing. Or I got made redundant from my job. I moved to the wrong city. So you can be a victim and feel everyone's against you. Or you can be a creator in terms of, okay, I failed this A level, but what can I do next? What can I redo it? Or can I go to another college? Or can I maybe start an apprenticeship? Okay, I lost this job here. Okay, but now I'm in the city. Can I speak to new people, get new opportunities? So I think it's like, what mindset do you want to take? Do you want to feel like a victim, or do you want to feel like, actually, I can create something from this?
I love that. And literally, life will always throw challenges. I think that's one thing I've learned even in my own journey, that it's not always going to go according to your plan.
Exactly.
The world is just how it is. But who you become out of that is what makes you a victor, and it gives you a story. Because I think that it's all great. When we were younger, of course, it's all well and great. And wanting to be a millionaire and stuff. I mean, we still want money. Don't get me wrong.
Of course, you want to be.
We still want to be okay.
You want to be. I always think people want to have money so they can have a comfortable life. And again,
Absolutely.
people say, oh, Bobby, you're such a martyr becoming a teacher. No, when I became a teacher, I want to still be a head teacher. I still wanted to earn well.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. I think people should never be ashamed of saying that they want to have a good life.
Yeah.
Because, we're humans. We want, a nice house, have a car, go on the holidays. So I think that there are things that we have to acknowledge exist.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's not a bad thing.
No,
at all
not at all.
To want a good life for yourself and your family and your friends, and to be able to look after your family.
I've actually got a really good quote about difficulty that I actually mentioned. Let's see if I got it on my phone. So I was a couple of days ago. I was on BBC. What day was it today?
It is Monday today.
Oh, actually, it was yesterday. You know what? I'm so busy. I forget what day. So yesterday I was on BBC Sunday Morning Live, and one of the stories was discussing a quote by Jamie Oliver, the chef. And Jamie Oliver said that he wants his children to experience struggle. Because, he's really well off, multi-millionaire. His kids go to private school. They could have like an easy lifestyle, and mom and dad could give them, buy the house, sorted. But he's saying actually struggle is important. And I actually remember I had watched a film called Catch Me If You Can.
I've heard of that, actually.
So it's a film with it's actually a great film, Catch Me If You Can, but Steven Spielberg, 2002. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks is chasing DiCaprio. DiCaprio, like, he's a young boy, 17, 18. He pretends to be a doctor, pretends to be a lawyer, pretends to be a pilot, but gets away with it all. Because he sort of works hard. And in this film, there's a dad called Frank Abagnale Jr., who's actually a famous actor, which I temporarily forget his name. But the actor says a quote, and it's like this. He says, 2 little mice fell into a bucket of cream. The first mouse quickly gave up and drowned. The second mouse wouldn't quit. He struggled so hard that eventually he churned that cream into butter and crawled out. Gentlemen, as of this moment, I am that second mouse. So it's like, what do you do when you fall in? All of us have moments in life where we fall into this cream. And you can be a victim, like, oh no, I'm in this cream, I'm drowning.
Where is me?
Yeah.
You just sink to the bottom.
But obviously, it's a disaster falling into cream for a mouse. Or you can be the second mouse that struggles, and eventually that cream turned into cheese and he crawled out. So I think we can choose how we deal with struggle. Because struggle comes to all of us.
It does.
But how you deal with it
is what makes you who you are.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this is a
it's
a poet line moment. That's amazing. What would be your advice to your younger self?
Ooh. You know what? I've been asked this question before, but every time I say a different answer.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to think. Advice to myself. It's really tricky. I think maybe this one now. There's 2 I want to say.
Yeah, go on.
I think they're sort of linked. So one is, it will all work out.
It always does.
Yeah. Like we always get, a lot of our stresses are based on anticipation of future worries. That's why we're stressing. People go to bed, and okay, sometimes things do go badly, but most of the time are worries about things that don't happen. Like we're worried I might lose my job, I might fail my A levels, I might not be able to pay my rent, and you have these worries, and they're legitimate. And sometimes, you might fail your exam, you might get kicked out. So sometimes the worries are reflections of real things, but most of the time, the worry never transpires. It never actually happens. So all that time we get stressed out about something that didn't happen. So the stress was needless. And the other quote I have is that, like, the advice I give to my younger self. There's a song by Miley Cyrus. Although I knew the song because a guy called Joe McElderry won X Factor. Do you know Ollie Murs? Have you heard Ollie Murs?
Yeah.
So Ollie Murs and Joe McElderry got to the final, and back then they used to sing the same song, and they sang Miley Cyrus's "It's the Climb," and this line actually really helps me now a lot. And the line is, "There's always going to be another mountain. I'm always going to want to make it move." So there's always going to be another mountain. I'm always going to want to make it move. And what it means to me is, I do a lot of things in my life, lots of different careers, I almost got a portfolio career, teacher, researcher, broadcaster, podcaster, all these different things.
All of it.
But sometimes I get given work opportunities and I get oh no, I need to take that. I need to say yes to this. But I think actually, that means I can't this evening, I can't see my mum, I can't see my little niece because I'm so busy. But I'm like, actually, no. I'm going to take time to do the things that I want to do, spend time with family and friends, because there's always going to be another mountain. I'm always want to make it move. For example, yesterday, I got a message think on maybe Saturday from Good Morning Britain saying, "Oh, Bobby, we want you to come on Monday to do a debate about what was even the debate about? VAT for schools.
Okay.
Should it be included?" And GMB is obviously Good Morning Britain is really prestigious. ITV gets millions of viewers, and I missed the message because I know I think I was with my niece. And I was like, oh, I missed it, but that's okay. I'll get more opportunities. So that phrase, there's always going to be another mountain. I'm always going to want to make it move. So don't worry, there's always going to be more opportunities.
Yeah.
So don't get too stressed. And that always makes me feel a bit better because we want to hustle, we want to push our careers forward, but don't forget your family and friends.
I love that point what you're about to make, and that would probably be my next question. I think you've pretty much answered it.
Yeah.
But in that, to go into it a bit more, like how do you establish the balance? Because a lot of people obviously they don't just want to be just career people, they want to be people.
Yes.
And being people includes interacting with your family, having your own, whether it's your own family,
Yes.
you know, or your family or friends. They want to do things outside of you know, the usual 9 to 5 or you know, their careers and things like that. So how do you keep the balance? I know you've touched on it, how you kind of regulate yourself almost to have a balance.
So this is where I would say I'm a work in progress. It's a challenge.
Right.
So I would say one of the reasons I've been able to do as many things, I'm actually quite good. There's not a boast. I'm quite good at not having much sleep and still getting by. Like there, I could do 2-3 hours sleep and still be. I'm not amazing. I can get by. I've got probably in fact one of my. It's almost like a genetic mutation. My brothers don't have it. They don't get 7-8 hours sleep. They can't work. I can have 3 hours sleep and I'm okay.
Really?
I've had times where I had 15 minutes sleep and I've like somehow been a human.
Wow.
But amazing thing, imagine if I have 7-8 hours sleep every day.
Then you'll be
how much more productive?
Charged.
I'll be charged. So, okay, that's one bit. I compromise and sleep a bit. So it means I can actually fit in more hours, but that's not a sensible thing. I think with family and friends, I try to be present. This is one thing that's a battle. I try to be present when I'm with them. Like we're glued to our phones.
Yeah.
My one worry is that I know with my career, especially with media, this sort of middle stage of my career, I always get opportunities. People say, "Oh, Bobby, can you come and do this debate, do this show? Can you write this article? Can you give us this quote?" So if I ignore my phone completely, I might miss out on opportunities. But I'm trying to be more sensible. Like, okay, check my phone, now put it away. You have a chat with my... And then maybe like an hour later, you want to pop to the bathroom, quickly shut the phone, okay, fine. So it's like learning to manage that better. So when I'm spending Saturday or Sunday with family, not constantly checking the phone because you're damaging that interaction, that experience.
Wow. And you know what? It's most damaging for ourselves, not just our families. Because obviously your family won't interact with you, but I think you'll get so used to being so digital almost. Like you might not really lose, I mean, you're exaggerating, but you have to be careful not to kind of become like so detached from human beings, even when you're in the presence of human beings.
That's another, like if you go to any like venue, like let's say a restaurant, you see families there. Most of the families are
on their phone.
They're at a restaurant. They've gone to, I don't know, Pizza Express. I love Pizza Express.
Yeah.
And they're all, having a dinner together.
Yeah.
And yet they're not looking at each other.
And
teenagers on their phone. Maybe mom and dad put their glasses. They got this the phone with the cover. or friends, like they got their cover and their glasses. But everyone's checking their phones.
Yeah.
But they paid money to go outside to be together.
Absolutely. That's like supposed to be family time.
Yeah. So I think when I'm at restaurants or out with friends, my phone is almost never even on the table. I put it away. If I need to check something, I'll go on the bathroom is a good excuse to go and check. But if I'm at the table talking to someone, I'm not going to be using the phone.
I love that. So these are like little practical tips that make a difference, right? Because you don't want to just completely disengage from the world. You can't, right? And I think that's kind of shown up in our generation where, there's a lot of mental health issues as well coming from, some element of detachment, which I think having people around you would help eliminate that, or having someone around you, not just around you for the sake of it, but to talk to or to express your emotions and things like that. But because we're lacking that very much, I feel like it's impacting our generation.
Because it's almost like we're more connected than ever, but we're less connected than ever. It's a paradox.
Love that.
Yeah.
And
there's a book by an author called Norina Hertz, and she wrote a book called The Lonely Century. And she thinks the pandemic of this century is about loneliness because we've got all this incredible technology where in theory, we've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X,
Everything.
YouTube. We've got all this,
So
so we can connect with people across the world. But are we connecting with real people? So you might have like 1,000 followers, but how many friends do you really have?
How many real friends do you
Real
have?
friends, yeah. So like, it's that. I think it's trying to find a balance.
Yeah.
There are some people out there. Although weirdly enough, you know what? I think I keep saying this, but if my media career, at some stage, I might step away from my media career. I don't know when. When I've done all the things I want to achieve. I think at that stage, I might switch off all my social media.
Really?
My Instagram, my TikTok. I mean, I'm saying this now and I won't, but I can. But imagine, like, I just sort of nostalgic. Like, what was life? I try to remember what life like was before.
Was like before?
You know, we just had a normal phone with text and stuff. Fine, that we need. But imagine not having like your Instagram, your Twitter, YouTube, all this sort of stuff. I don't know. It's straight like the one thing I'm bad at, which I need to work on, is. So I always say in life, again, life tips.
Yeah.
The 3 fundamentals that all of us need to be happy and functioning is called eat, move, and sleep. You need to feed your body with good things. Obviously, have your treats and stuff. I have a massive sweet tooth. But if you feed your body good things, they need to move. So you need to be active. Again, not everyone loves exercise, but whether it's daily walks, yoga, stretch, but you need to be. Our bodies weren't designed to be sedentary
at all.
You know, like, I think 200,000 years ago is when humans first started out in the plains of East Africa. We were active, we were moving. In fact, I think there's a mitochondrial Eve. I know, like, we haven't really got into like discussions about race and stuff, but we're all the same human race. 200,000 years ago, you can trace everyone through their mother's, the mitochondria in their mother's DNA. And all of us go back to a shared common ancestor 200,000 years ago. They call her like the Eve.
The Eve gene, yeah.
East Africa, Ethiopia, probably around that area. So all of us come back from there, but we used to move back then. We didn't sit on computers and tap away on our phones. So we need to make sure you're eating good things, you're moving, but also you're sleeping. Because of technology, there's one thing I often sometimes. I had a busy long day. Even today, I've got another event to go to. I've got a TV interview afterwards.
Busy man.
And then tomorrow morning, I've got another TV interview, so I need to prep for that. But when I get home, I'll have my dinner, watch maybe some light comedy, and I'll get into bed, get my phone, and I'll think, I deserve some me time. I'm allowed to watch some TikTok. And then maybe an hour later, I'm like, oh, what have I done?
You've taken away that hour from...
You need to sleep. You need to regenerate. You need to rest and recuperate.
Absolutely.
So moments when I'm good... in fact, I've got this habit, not a habit, in aspiration. If I want to use the phone, I'll get out of bed, stand in a corner, stand in another room, use the phone, and then get back into bed, but put the phone away. So it can be either like out of reach. So if I need to reach it,
it's far away.
Yeah, so you're not, because that is I think one of the biggest killers of people in this modern generation. Not killers like actual death, but in terms of our mental health and well-being, is the fact that we're on our phone spending 1, 2, 3 hours scrolling nonsense.
At a time. Literally.
Why?
Literally.
Just like videos I get, like health and fitness memes, and they're funny and stuff, but I don't need 3 hours of that. Especially when I already got 6 hours available to sleep.
That's very true.
So that's my advice. So eat, move, sleep. If you do all those things, in my family we call them the fundies, the fundamentals. My movement's always been good. I'm very active. I love my exercise. Eating is okay. After, like, I'm actually quite good till like 5 o'clock, but in the evening I become like a monster. Suddenly, like, sugar, snacks, sweets. I need to, like, think one day when I get married, have a partner, I'm gonna ask her she has to stop me. She has to punch. She has to like have lock the cupboard. The sleeping mine's not so good because I think I feel like I need evening time. I watch like a film at 1 o'clock in the morning because I feel like I need me time. But who does that? Me, I do. So there are things that's why I've got like confidence. Even though I'm achieving well, I've got room for growth.
Yeah.
Imagine like I stopped my mad sugar binges. Imagine I started sleeping better. I could give more of myself to the world.
Absolutely.
Make more of an impact. So
it's like the quote that just came into my mind when you just said that is like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Absolutely. I try. I try.
You're trying.
But mate, it's not a good idea.
There's some in there.
I'm just like, I'm just scraping the cup. I'm like, look, there's a couple of drops of H2O in this cup. Look, just need to heat it. It'll evaporate. That's what I'm doing. I think what I'm doing is there's an empty cup. I'm putting it on a stove, and then some steam comes and condensing it. Look, Tony, there's a bit of water in it. Nah, that's not water. You're steaming the actual cup.
Yeah,
the cup's melting.
Yeah,
so,
no, exactly.
So that gives me confidence that if I can work towards it, again, we're human. We'll never be perfect, but if we can work towards things, it gives us hope. It gives us like an aspiration for the future.
No, I love that. I love that. I think everything you said are really fantastic tips. I don't want to forget one very important other aspect of your career, or what what Bobby's all about, which is a book. So tell me all about it. I want to hear.
So I somehow I never expected to, but I got into this career where I'm now a writer and an author. So my first book I ever published was a quiz book. Albeit it's a quiz, like writing lots of questions. And then I got offered by Penguin, which is like, as a child you read Penguin books.
We do.
And suddenly to see your book with Penguin on it, like, that's mad.
And then your face
on the back. Yeah. So I wrote a book called my first non-quiz book called The Life-Changing Magic of Numbers. So you can see it over there.
Wow.
Available on Amazon. Audiobook as well.
Audiobook too.
Sat in the studio.
Okay.
7-8 hours of reading.
Wow.
Interestingly, my stomach rumbles a lot, and the audio producer, they first tried to put a pillow above my stomach, and they gave me like little bits of banana to eat to stop the rumbling.
Wow.
Because it picks it up. Modern mics, especially audiobooks.
Okay.
Podcasts are fine because it's natural, but audiobooks are meant to be like perfect quality.
Right.
So that is a pro tip if you don't want to.
So clearly eat bananas, guys.
Little bits
in between, little bits in between, just to.
So this book is all about how maths changed my life. So whether it's music or sport or planning or personal finance or friends, how many friends to have. This like gives like a mathematical approach. So since then, so this is my second book, but I've been a consultant for a couple of personal finance books for kids, but now I'm actually writing my own personal finance book for kids, and I've got the secret project. I mean, it's a secret, but I'm not got in a contract yet. But I'm writing a mathematical crime fiction as well.
Bobby, you're a man of many talents. As I said, you are a man of many talents. So tell us more as to where we can purchase. These
so this, like, I would say again, any online store.
Yeah.
Usually physical store, but online I know it's a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But I would say the audiobooks are great because sometimes people, if you want to get as a gift for someone, I understand why the book is good.
Yeah.
But for yourself, go to Amazon, Audible. I think, I don't know what it's like, $7.99. Put it in your ear on your way to work, and then you feel inspired. Like, again, anyone that reads this book, they'll feel a better attitude towards maths. Especially if you're a parent out there, or your uncle or your auntie, and you want to inspire someone else, this book will give you that motivation. Like, actually, I can see why maths is useful. Or it can give you just like, I always think people should always try to upskill themselves. So I'm actually part of 2 book clubs. Okay. Again, the thing is part 2 running clubs. Two of everything.
Yeah, I know. Too much as well.
Yeah, I don't have 2 girlfriends. That's 0.
Oh gosh.
That's the only one thing I'm lacking.
That might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Too much trouble. No, too much trouble.
But I forgot what I was trying to say. I lost my train of thought.
A book club.
Oh yeah. So the book club. One is a fiction book club. I do believe reading fiction is good because it just gives you the form of escapism. But the non-fiction book club is called the Rebel Book Club, and they meet up in London once a month. Like 150 people that turn up.
Wow.
But every month there's a different theme. So this month the theme is about traveling. So we're reading a book called Around the World in 80 Trains. The month before is all about love. So reading books on up to 3 books on love. You pick 1 book out of 3. The club nominates. The month before was a book on money. Month before was about focus. Before there was a section on maths. Then another book on like mental health. So every month is a non-fiction book. So I think that all of us, whether it's through podcasts, YouTube channels, we should always seek to enrich ourselves. And again, if something like, for example, this book is, if someone thinks, I think maths might be useful, or maybe I really enjoyed it at school, but I've detached myself, my book is like a way to reacquaint yourself with that field.
I love that. And Bobby promised me that he's going to give me a copy and he's going to
sign this for you.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Yeah, I'll sign that for you.
This is officially, him handing it to me.
Yeah.
We're going to find a pen in a minute
I got a pen here.
You can sign it for me. Yeah. Listen, we can do it in front of it. Thank you so much, Bobby. That is so
Miss
cool.
Christabel,
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh my God. The thing is, I don't want to reveal the date of we're recording, but the date today is a mathematically special day.
Really?
Yeah. Should I say?
Yes.
Okay. So today is what's the date today?
Today is the 22nd of July, 2024.
Yeah. So the day and the month. What are the numbers?
The day 22 and 07.
27. Okay. 22 divided by 7 is roughly what?
Gosh.
It's okay. Is 22 divided by 7? How many holes?
Like 2 points.
Bit higher.
What, 3? Not
3.
3.
So 3 3 lots of 7.
21, yeah, 3.
So so if we did in school fractions, we would say 3 and 1/7. 3 and 1/7? Yeah.
In 1/7.
Yeah, 3 and 1/7.
Yes.
And 3 and 1/7
Yeah.
is a good approximation for. Do you remember pi in school?
Yes.
Pi.
Yes.
3.141.
Yeah.
This 3 and 1/7 is 3.142, but it's actually a good approximation of pi. So today is known as Pi Approximation Day.
Wow. There you go.
That's mad.
There you go.
I didn't know that, but I totally forgot. It's a good day.
Who would have thought? This is why he is the mathematician he is, clearly. And no, it's a pleasure to have
Miss
you,
Christabel,
on this podcast today. I am so inspired by your story. And I love all the topics that you touched on as well, you know, and like what every single part of your life has taught you. That's amazing. And I know this is just the beginning.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it's just the beginning. I think you're just scratching the surface. We need to see more of this.
But I'm also saying I can't wait to follow your journey and your story.
Well, keep tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Keep tuned. That's that. I'm excited myself, but this, to be honest, podcast has just been on my heart for a very long time. And I probably was just doubting myself a bit too much, and now I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna do it and see where it leads me. So, thank you so much for coming, Bobby. He's literally sat. Listen, I want to prove. Bobby has signed it. This is amazing.
If I go to book publishing events, often people just do it like that. Yeah. I get told off by like the publishers. They're like, quick, you're gonna
take it too long.
But I want to give people a proper message.
Oh, thank you so much. That is amazing. He's reminded me that 22/7 is Pi Day. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bobby.
Pleasure.
Are there any last words that you want to say to the world, to people that are watching, to kind of encourage them?
I think the last thing I'll say is, don't be too hard on yourself.
Yes.
Because sometimes I do this myself, so I need to take this advice as well. Do you know, sometimes we say things to ourselves, our self-talk, you know, like our thoughts.
Like
we sort of like say like, oh, you're an idiot, why did you do this? And oh, come on, shape yourself up, sort yourself out. Whereas we wouldn't tell that to our friends, would we? We wouldn't say, oh, Christabel, what are you doing? You're being an idiot. Whereas we would tell that to ourselves. So talk to yourself like you would to your closest friends. Be kind to yourself. If you, it can be easy. Like if you miss it, imagine you're late for a train, and it's natural to go, oh, you Bobby, you idiot. Why did you miss the train? Like, it's okay. You made a mistake. It's fine. Don't shout at yourself. We are humans too. We treat ourselves with kindness, and it'll come back to you.
I love that, and I think we're just gonna leave on that note. Thank you so much, Bobby, for coming today. Thank you for your book, guys. You have to get this: The Life-Changing Magic of Numbers: How Numbers Shape Everyday Life. I think you need to get this, guys. And of course, I know you have more books coming out now as well. So, once you get information on that, let us know.
Absolutely.
We can publish that as well and let the whole world know. This is Achievers Avenue. We promised that we would give you really interesting stories. And obviously, for example, our guest today is giving us an amazing story. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're gonna have more stories to come. Let us know if you want Bobby to come again, because Bobby's gonna have more stuff to do. I mean, in the future, there's even more things to even talk about. I guess
when my next book comes out.
When the next book comes out, he's gonna come back.
Yeah, definitely.
You promise, Bobby? Because I'm gonna hit you up.
I'm reliable.
I know, yeah. He's a reliable young man. Just before we go, tell me what you just said about being reliable. I love that.
So before we were sort of warming up our voices,
doing
our scales, like la 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 la. But in the podcast or YouTube equivalent, I was saying actually one of the most important traits that people look for are people that are reliable. So actually, I reckon I keep getting repeat bookings for shows, articles, newspapers, journals, all these things. One, because they like me, they think my personality, I think I'm good on camera, good on audio, etc. But it's because I deliver. Every time they ask me for something, I will respond. I'll show up. So showing up, if you can show up again and again, you'll get your rewards.
Love that. I think we just have to end on that note. I mean, Bobby literally just you finished it off with that note. But yeah, as Bobby said, show up, stand tall, be confident, and just believe in yourself, really. And that's what we stand for. So thank you so much. Again, I'm gonna ask you for the last time to like, share, subscribe, share with anyone you think that's gonna need this inspiration as well. So until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. This is Achievers Avenue. Woo! See ya.